Hey guys, I'm gonna start it off just by saying the typical like, comment, subscribe thing. I'm trying to get to a point where I can actually be monetized on YouTube. So if you do those things, it'll help me. And then that'll help me buy car parts. And then more car parts means more videos. Although my editing sucks, but we're still gonna start throwing this at the beginning of videos. So yeah, do those things. Thanks. Since the last video, we have pulled the engine. Well, engine. There's pieces. There's pieces. You get the point. Everything for my manifolds is welded. I am not great at this, so they're not beautiful. I'm just not very consistent, but some of them don't look bad, and then some of them look like that, and it just pisses me off. So that I tried to like wire wheel, and it just made it look like shit. So stopped. Same thing. That's my, I don't know what the hell to call it. It's the part between the manifold and the turbo, so I guess it's the turbo kit part. That I left there just so that it was still on that mount in the exact location that it was already in. I pulled the motor and the transmission out because I made this motor mount right here. I'm just gonna pick it up. This thing goes to here. Not like that. Like that. And obviously bolts to the engine. And that makes it so that I have the ability to run a big exhaust pipe through here and down through there. So what we need to do now is I want to cut and scallop this here. I have the scallop. I already started making one. There we go. So that'll go somewhat in there, and that'll give me a little bit more room to get an exhaust pipe through here, and hopefully it's going to go like this. So we need to cut some of this as well. We had, god damn it, we had bearing damage on the last engine, or the engine that I have back from the machine shop, which I'll show clips of that soon. But we did get it back. Everything's good to go. Crank's good. They line hone the block, so the block's good. All I gotta do is purchase all the stuff to finish assembling it, but I'm still working on fabrication stuff, so I'm not really worried about that yet. Anyways, because of the bearing damage, I want to make this sump bigger for the oil pan. Now, we can't really do anything on this side because this is where the starter goes, and there's oil lines here. But the other side we can make significantly larger. But I can bring this all the way out straight and then in, and that'll add like another 2 quarts, or another quart at least, but it will require me to cut this all the way up here and over, so that we're going to get that extra added capacity and still be able to fit a 3-inch downpipe down through there with as least bends as possible. So let's see what we come up with. All right, so we time jumped again. I have the up pipe, out pipe, whatever you want to call it, for the turbo mounted. I'm pretty much welded all the way except for a little bit here and there, and I haven't done the flanges yet. You can see down in there where I scalloped the subframe for my motor mount and the pipe and everything clear. I decided to redo a bunch of it. Main reason being was this pipe here, which I'll throw a video of me welding some of it. I only had one bellow on this side, and there was a lot of tension on this flange to the center point because I built this mount, which mounts here, and it supports my turbo. I'm not quite sure that I like the idea of having two gaskets, so we might revisit this. But either way, we put a bellow in on this side. And now, because we did that, it made it so the downpipe didn't clear anymore. It started hitting this V-band flange right here. As you can see, I marked that. Which then put me down the rabbit hole of I had this nice pretty downpipe. Again, I'll throw a picture up on the screen while I'm talking. But I cut it in half. And I cut it in half because I didn't want this dent in it. And I didn't want it to hit this flange either. So what I've decided to do is go through and weld everything that I have done from the heads to the turbo, and then I'm going to make the turbo mount. And from that point on, then I'll go through and I'll do my downpipe, because one of the big problems with the downpipe is that it has to be a solid mounted downpipe. Now, that's going to cause issues later on down the road. It will crack. But the problem is there is not enough space for a flex joint in this downpipe anywhere in here. There's no room for a flex joint. I do plan on Cerakoting all of this. I picked up an oven. I got the outlet. I gotta wire it into my panel over here. And then I'll be able to do powder coating and Cerakoting. So we'll be able to keep the heat down. But for now, I guess I'll throw up a time lapse of me welding up that crossover tube, I guess, and we'll move on to this last header because I haven't finished this one. And then once we're done with that, I'll do another update with maybe a new turbo mount, because it's looking like my one that I worked all this hard time on isn't gonna work again. So alright, that's what I ended up with, all said and done. I know I skipped a lot, but I was just kind of working when I had time. Got my new turbo mount here. I have a picture of me literally standing on this turbo, like holding my whole weight. Wastegates recirculate back in. There's enough room, believe it or not, to get that AC compressor out if you come out the bottom down here without having to take any of these tight tubes off. Snakes down in between the steering. I have that band, V-band, off because I was doing these last. I redid everything. It's all new, front to back. It is sitting on the cross member because, again, I have that V-band off, but I'll go back here real quick, show that portion. It's all nice and tucked up, and I wish I had, can't see it right now, but there's a bend here and it's just pie cut and the rest of it's all cut bends. Anyways, so now that's going to be the turbo kit. It is completely done other than the dump that I'm going to do out the fender, but that is not a necessity at this time, so we're not going to do that yet. I do have all of, actually I'm about to walk in front of it. I got my blasting cabinet down. I got an oven. I finally opened this shit that I bought from Harbor Freight like 4 years ago. I'm gonna start powder coating little brackets here and there for the turbo mount. That way it doesn't rust. I think we're gonna close this video out. And next video is probably going to be me building the motor, because I have already started filming that and I have a little bit of time-lapse stuff done to it. Maybe I'll do something else too. My list is huge, so I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I'm pretty happy with that. I think it looks cool. It's definitely a major improvement over that. So, just a modified stock header with a tube welded onto it with a MIG welder. They're not the most amazing welds, and I realize it's not the most efficient kit, but it is, after all, a Miata, and we're trying to make 500 or 600 horsepower out of it, so we gotta make sacrifices, and those sacrifices sometimes are flow. But for now, I guess that's gonna be it for this one. I am going to start trying to say in the videos, you know, like, comment, subscribe, blah, 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 because I would like to be monetized one day for this, and the only way to do that is for people to do those things. And building cars is very expensive, so if I could do this and make a couple bucks and, you know, be able to go out, put some money in the tank or whatever and do some videos cruising, that would be cool as well. So, yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, blah, 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 blah.